Yo, welcome back to SeaBed. Last time, Sachiko got hypnotized, and we brought back her darkest, deepest memory, which was just Sachiko and Takako hanging out in Italy. I guess Takako did get lost for like 5 minutes, but then we found her. And that was that. I don't know if that memory was fake, or if we're gonna continue like on that memory, and maybe something bad's gonna happen later. But yeah. Oh, also we met this one Japanese girl. What was her name? Fujisaka. We met Fujisaka in Italy. She like owns an inn in Japan, and she just came here to buy furniture or something. She had a sprite, so I'm guessing she's gonna be more important in the future. But yeah. This one. Waking up from hypnosis. That's a very literal chapter title. Okay. Narasaki welcomed me back with a steaming cup of coffee. Thanks. Rising from the sofa, I took the cup from her hand. Are you feeling okay? I'm fine. The smell of coffee dispelled the final remnants of my drowsy mood. It made the memories I experienced under hypnosis feel like a distant dream. Takako didn't go missing during our trip to Italy. I recounted the events I experienced under the effects of hypnosis. Narasaki nodded, and it seems like that trip occurred before Inukai joined your company. How do you know? I confirmed the date on the ticket with you. Oh, you can do that? I told you before the procedure, but your subconscious memories usually remain in your head a lot clearer than the ones you're conscious of. No, I don't think so. You're telling me during hypnosis you just like said the exact date of the ticket? Okay. If I direct your consciousness properly during the hypnosis, I can learn details you would normally never remember under usual circumstances. Narasaki flipped a few pages of the medical record in her hands and pulled out a piece of paper stuck between them. For starters, we learned that there is, after all, no proof of Takako working at the company after Inukai was hired, unless we ask Fumi. Well, I was the only one saying that anyway. Narasaki drew a line on the paper. Now, there's nothing contradicting Inukai's statement. I suppose so. Narasaki crossed out the part on the timeline where I said Takako had disappeared. But now we've got another problem. When did Takako really disappear? And why did I kept traveling with her even after Inukai joined the company? I think this should be keep, right? Why did I think I kept traveling with her? Okay. Exactly. I took another sip of the hot coffee. The coffee Narasaki made was always incredibly bitter. When did Takako really disappear, and why did I think I kept traveling with her, even after Inukai joined the company? I repeated the question within my still bitter mind. Why the sour face? Narasaki smiled. It's the coffee. Let's call it a day. Narasaki continued as I remained silent. It's my job to think, and you've already used your head quite a bit today. Leave the rest to me and go take a break. Raising my face, I saw that Narasaki wasn't planning to give me any more questions for the time being. Alright. I gave her a reluctant reply. I don't want to say the same thing every episode, but I'll just say I'm still very, very hung up on the fact that they're like trying to solve this by themselves when they could just ask people, like contact the police, ask Takako's family, ask Fumi, ask anyone who knew Takako except for you, whatever. Don't worry, we're getting closer to the truth. It does seem that way. As I fell silent, Narasaki made a troubled face and turned to her desk. She then said she would give me some nutrients against exhaustion, just to be on the safe side. After that, she began filling out the prescription paper. As I absent-mindedly gazed at her do her work, I spotted a piece of string peeking from her pocket. It was the same string she used to hang the 5-yen coin earlier. It was my first time, but hypnosis sure is incredible, isn't it? I had specific clues for the scenery and date this time around, so guiding into those memories wasn't all that difficult. What do you do when you have no clues? Nothing. It'd be equivalent to trying to look for a book whose title you don't even know in a massive library. Here you go. She handed me the prescription paper. As I asked her about the medicine, she explained that those were just nutrients to compensate for the exhaustion the procedure might have caused me. Oh, I entered the drugstore to see a family sitting on the bench, most likely waiting for their medicine to be prepared. Is Takako gonna appear? I passed by the benches and handed the prescription slip to the clerk. Thank you. The female clerk unfolded the paper and gave it a closer look. Do you have any allergies? No. Do you have any questions about how to use the medicine? No. I'll call you when your medicine is ready. Feel free to sit down while you wait. The clerk rose from her seat and disappeared beyond the glass door further behind the counter. I sat down on one of the benches and placed my handbag next to me. The rays of the warm afternoon sun fell on my legs through the drugstore window. The line between shadow and light quivered around the area of my knees. I moved slightly towards the shadowy area. Ooh. As the bell rang, a man entered the store with a prescription slip in hand, prompting the woman I just spoke with to return to the counter. I could see two people in white coats walking back and forth between the shelves further beyond the counter. Mr. Kasahara. Or Miss Kasahara. Miss Kasahara Mitsuko. The female clerk called out a name in an emotionless tone. The mother of the family, sitting at the bench, put her newspaper down and walked over to the counter. I was about to pull a paperback from the handbag I had left at my side, but I changed my mind, stopping my hand midway. I stood up and continued to the medicine corner, examining the various labels for medicinal bath, compresses, nutrients. I was looking through the merchandise, trailing my finger against the labels as I read them. Brown rice, mixed grain, glutinous rice. Glutinous? They actually had a 1 kilogram pack of glutinous rice here. I don't know what that is. Glutinous rice? Yeah, can I Google that? What the fuck is glutinous rice? Glutinous rice, also known as sticky rice or sweet rice, is a type of rice prized for its highly amylopectin starch content, making it exceptionally sticky and glue-like when cooked, unlike regular rice. It contains no gluten. Okay. Why did she question mark glutinous rice? Miss Sachiko, having found what I was looking for, I continued to the counter. She said it like the rice made her realize something, but I caught a taxi as I left the drugstore and told the driver, let me write that down. Glutinous rice. I got a taxi as I left the drugstore and told the driver the address of my office. It didn't even take 10 minutes to reach my destination. Can I have the receipt, please? After fiddling around with the taximeter, the driver printed out the receipt. I took it from his gloved hand and after paying the fare, stepped out of the car. Oh, back to the office antics. Can I see An, please? I'm back, sorry for taking so long. I opened the office door to see Inukai working at his desk. Hello. Inukai gave me a glance. How's the revision going? No issues so far. I glanced at Fumi sitting down next to him. Oh, random Fumi CG. Where did this come from? Yeah, she's at her computer. These are all her plush toys that she keeps on her desk. She seemed to be really into her... Oh, wait. Hang on. I don't even need to click it. I just hover it and... Oh, wait. Do I need to click it? Is it... Okay, now... Okay, it's saved. It's weird how, it's sometimes reset when I close the game and sometimes it doesn't. She seemed to be really into her work, almost leaning over the desk with her fingers practically on fire as she typed. Her mouth also kept moving ever so slightly, almost like that of a hungry fish. I listened to what she was mumbling to herself. I wonder if it'd be better if I aligned the text to the right here. But the colors of the background and the letters overlapped there, making them too hard to read. I suppose I could lower the saturation of the background. It's like she's in a trance. Inukai adjusted his glasses. Who do you think she's talking to? Oh, is she talking to Takako? Oh my god. It's not the first time this happens. Considering the way she talks at times like this, I believe she's discussing matters with those sheep sitting on her desk. Inukai directed his emotionless gaze at Fumi. With the sheep? I glanced at her desk, realizing that all the sheep, from the one on the shelf wearing a tuxedo to all the normal ones around the monitor, were aligned in a way that made it seem like they were observing her work. I believe she goes over the entire process one more time, summarizing the important points by making presentations to them. Then, to avoid too much subjectivity influencing her work, she asked the sheep for opinions, improving her design according to their feedback. Okay, I see. Fumi is prone to making careless mistakes, but she's about 30% more effective in the trance-like states of her. How many data points are you using for this statistic? I see. This has been one complicated project, so I can't exactly blame her for becoming like this. Fumi's hand suddenly froze in place as her eyes darted to Inukai. Her posture remained completely unchanged. Inukai, I need to discuss something after I'm done with this. I want to check real quick. I mean, obviously this is making parallels with Sachiko talking to Takako by herself, right? After that, she returned her eyes to the monitor and resumed work. Then again, it's pretty incredible she's able to do that much in such a short time span. With those words, Inukai picked up his teacup and cleared its contents with a single gulp. Curious. Very curious. On the weekend, I spent most of the afternoon finishing up my laundry. Yeah, we saw. My workload had halved compared to how things used to be, so I could now use the extra space in the veranda to hang the food in as well. Oh, you mean the workload of the laundry? Okay. As I began dusting it off, I heard the exact same sound of someone hammering on their food. How do you say this word? Futon? Futon? I wanted to see on Google, actually. Futon. Okay. As I began dusting it off, I heard the exact same sound of someone hammering on their futon in the distance. The middle-aged forecaster on TV claimed the weather would remain clear until tomorrow night. As I finished hanging my laundry, I moved to the kitchen and began preparing today's lunch. I hadn't been to the supermarket lately, so all I had in the fridge was Chinese cabbage, some poultry, and onions. I had bought the 1/4 cut of the cabbage, and by now only about a third of that was still left. That's 1/12 of the total cabbage. Quick math. With no eggs left, I had to give up on making oyakodon. I splashed some water and oil in the frying. Oh, are we getting the Sachiko cooking lesson again? I splashed some water and oil into the frying pan, followed by a few pieces of cabbage, onion, and poultry. As the onions began to lose their shape, I added some leftovers udon I found in the freezer. I made lunch from throwing random things together, but it turned out better than expected. I ate it while watching TV. Okay, it wasn't a full recipe this time. Oh, back to the library. Is the librarian going to be here? On my way to do some shopping, I dropped by the library to return the books I borrowed. It was a municipally owned establishment, but probably because of the location, there was barely anyone inside it, despite it being the weekend. Back in the countryside where I grew up, all the libraries would be filled with school children on days like this, to the point you had to really struggle to find an empty seat. There seemed to be slightly more people around compared to my previous visit, but it was still nothing compared to what I'd been used to. Really? I feel like there'd be more people in the big cities than the library. On the right-hand side from the entrance, a separate space was set up for children. It had a small bookshelf lined with various picture books. They're the same fairy tales I used to read as a child. A story about a penguin traveling around the world on a patch of ice. Another story about a cat that loved quizzes. I moved to the left side of the entrance where a bunch of tables were lined up next to a set of large windows that made the spot ideal for reading. Not only were all the normal seats empty, there wasn't anyone using the lavish and comfortable looking sofa either. A poster for the local neighborhood association decorated the side of one of the bigger shelves, making it visible even from the reading room. As I wandered into the psychology section, I spotted the librarian who printed my card. Did you look? I forgot how fucking creepy you looked. You look fine here, but when you have your mouth closed, I made a bow, I think, which upon noticing me, she turned with a bow of her own. She seemed to be in the middle of arranging books, holding the map of the library in one hand. I was about to pass by her when she suddenly addressed me. You're the same person I made that membership card for the other day, right? Did the books you borrowed prove to be of any help? I didn't expect her to call out to me like that, but after a few moments of startled silence, I answered that they didn't. To tell you the truth, most of the books from that section are a bit on the old side, but since someone finally borrowed some of them, I could use it as an excuse to order newer editions. After placing the books she'd been holding back to their respective ledges, she pointed at the shelf where the volumes I borrowed were originally from. It did seem like there were a few more books there than before. Already? Judging from the titles, they were mainly focused on hypnotic therapy and the working of the brain. Very specific shelf. Saying that she thought I might be interested, the librarian gave me another bow and left. I spent a few minutes looking over those new books. However, no matter which one I checked, I wasn't able to focus on them. In the end, I left the library without borrowing anything. Cool. I ran into the librarian on my way back. As I made a curt bow, she once again returned it with her own. Okay, stop fucking bowing. If you ever need to look up anything else, don't hesitate to ask. Like that, we parted ways. Good scene. Great scene, guys. Oh, that's it. That was a fucking fast chapter. Does that little animation mean something else than the chapter changing? Is it? I placed the toothbrush back into its cup, washing out the last remnants of toothpaste from my mouth with some ice-cold tap water. When I returned to the living room, the morning news was on. As I looked outside through the veranda, I saw large gray clouds blanketing the sky. I snagged a glass from the kitchen cupboard, filled it up with water, then used it to water the plants I kept outside. As it had been a while since it rained, the dry soil absorbed the water right away. The search for the 2 missing Japanese citizens is still ongoing. Excuse me? The 2 missing Japanese citizens? Is that what the twist is going to be? Sachiko's been a ghost the whole time or whatever? Or did the other lady also disappear? What was her name? Fujisaka. Turning my attention to the TV, I noticed the news reporting on a boat accident that happened somewhere in the Southern Islands. The announcer began describing the event in detail. I picked up the remote control from the table and changed its channel. No, don't! What the fuck? After finding a channel with the weather forecast, I upped the volume. Is this gonna come back later? 2 missing Japanese citizen. I mean, I'll write it down just in case. Southern Islands. Cloudy with a change of rain, or so they said. I pressed my train pass against the ticket gate, and once the machine successfully recognized it, descended the stairs to the train platform. Only a few people were there this early in the morning. It would be a while until the place began to really fill up with people, to the point they'd have to delay trains. That, by the way, was quite the common occurrence on Mondays. Really? My train arrived as I was absentmindedly gazing at the unchanging signboard. I claimed an empty seat near the edge of the car. With nothing else to do, I decided to look through the advertisements inside the train car. One ad posted on the wall advertised coffee, while the other gave the details of some sort of anti-diarrhea medicine. Both were the same as last week. Next up were the posters hanging from the ceiling. I spotted one of the weekly magazine going on about recent news on politics as well as celebrity life. The 2 missing Japanese citizens I'd heard about on the news were mentioned too. Do you see pictures of them? What do they look like? I hate Mondays, and I love lasagna. Same here. 2 young men in suits sitting a bit farther away from me were having a conversation. I spent all weekend having some much needed fun, and I still have a bunch of unfinished work left over from Friday. Feels like it's going to be ages until my next day off. The train slowly came to a halt, stopping at the station closest to my office. Man, this game is like throwing me off. Like, it has so many scenes where I'm like, what was the point of that? But like, I don't know if I am like being stupid and like I'm missing something, or if it's just like a random like daily life scene. Like the library scene that just happened, and this scene right here of her like waking up and going on the train and just hearing people talk about Mondays and then going to work. Like I'm so used to reading stories where like there is clearly a point to every scene. So I don't know if this just isn't like that, or if I'm just missing something. Even the neon lights beyond the window were starting to go out. It had been a while since I heard the last car go by. Oh, we skipped the night. Or is this like all the way, is this like very early morning? Any plans for your vacation? Fumi addressed me as I was typing out a report. Not much. I'll be going back to my parents' house. Inuka joined the conversation. I wasn't asking you. Fumi spoke up in a cheeky tone as her fingers continued tapping away at the keyboard. I see. Inuka let out a faint start and returned to his own work. You type very slowly, by the way, Fumi. I was planning to take a trip to the hot spring this year. Would you like to go together? A trip to the hot springs? I transferred the finished reported data to the printer. Most of the documents from the mountain of papers on my desk were now fully checked, revised, and logged. I think we'll be able to start our vacation early if we continue at this pace. Are you sure it's okay? Inuka was seemingly startled by Fumi's comment. Well, we've already cleared all our main goals for the end of the year. The rest depends on how soon you can finish the individual tasks you still have left. Awesome. Fumi briskly returned to work with a broad smile on her face. Inuka too began to type at a seemingly faster pace. Don't forget to submit the necessary documentation if you decide to make any changes to the date of your vacation. I heard a quick chorus and then understood in response. As I glanced at the monitor displaying everyone's vacation details, I suddenly realized that the document had an attendance record tab. Are you going to see that An has just like never been in the office once? I clicked on it. Finding the entry for Mizuno Sachika, I scrolled down to the records dating back to around a year ago. The last trip I remember taking seemed to be the one where I combined 3 holidays and 2 days off paid leave to be able to leave for a whole week. 9 days if you combine both weekends. Again, so quick. What the fuck is going on? Like, for that entire section, from her waking up, taking the train, going to the office, having this conversation about vacations, and an end scene? Like, was the whole point of that just to show that she took her last vacation was a like 1 week vacation? I guess I can write that down. Last vacation she took was 1 week. Like, around a year ago. Didn't you say you stopped taking vacations after Takako disappeared though? So if your last vacation was a year ago, doesn't that imply that Takako also disappeared a year ago? Or less than a year ago? Also, where the fuck is An? Where is An? Why is An never at the office? Who is An? I clicked the send button and I had my email finally transferred to the clients. Playing my hand on the back of my neck, I gave it a light crack. After that, I leaned against the chair with all my weight. I'll be going then. Inuka fixed his necktie and opened the door, his eyes almost completely drained of life. Oh my god. Thank you for your work today. Inuka nodded and left the room. The round clock on the wall indicated that it was around midnight. Midnight? What the fuck? With Inuka gone, the office became emptier. The sound of the lightly pattering rain against the window felt louder than before. It had been continuously raining for the past few days, and even though it momentarily let up around noon earlier today, it resumed again as soon as evening came. I could see the raindrops outside illuminated by the glow of the office. They came pouring down from the black skies above, only to melt into the darkness below. Fumi suddenly stood up from her chair, walked to the door, and turned to me. I'll go grab a drink. Want me to bring you back something as well? Just a coffee, please. After a nod, Fumi left the room and headed for the vending machine. What is the clock sound in the background? When I had seen her off, I closed my eyes and began to stretch my muscles a bit. As I was swallowed by the darkness of my closed eyelids, it felt almost like the only thing that existed outside was the rain itself. A passing car ran into a puddle of water collected from the drainage at the side of the road, splashing the sidewalk. Jeez. Fumi returned to the office and violently pulled out one of her drawers. Oh, hello. What's wrong? Takako, who sat in the seat right in front of her, observed the whole spectacle. So we're saying, right in front of her. Wait, hang on. Can I see the background? Wait, no. Because this is Fumi's desk with the plushies over here. Takako, who sat in the seat right in front of her? So you're saying Takako sits here? I thought that was Inukai's desk, no? I'm pretty sure, like, in one of the early office scenes, it said where everyone was sitting. And wasn't Takako sitting somewhere else? Or am I making that up? Oh god, I have to go back and check. Fumi placed a 100-yen coin on the desk. It won't fit into the vending machine. That happens sometimes, yeah. Takako stood up, picked up the coin from the desk, and gave it a closer look. Oh, that's a pretty old coin. This guy's been around since before I was even born. She shifted her gaze to Fumi. Is that how you appreciate your progenitors, Ignoring Takako, Fumi opened her purse, almost as if she couldn't see her. I was already around before we existed, yet you denounce it just because it won't fit into one of your fancy vending machines. I couldn't help but chuckle at Takako's characteristically random antics. Is something the matter? Fumi gave me a glance. I blinked, and just like that, Takako, along with everything on her desk, as well as that ancient 100-yen coin, vanished without a trace. What? Everything on her desk didn't disappear. It's right here. There's like a chess set and like a computer. How many computers are there on this like table? I can't see because fucking fat ass Fumi's in the way, blocking my view. But I'm pretty sure there's only 2 computers. Like one, Fumi has one, and Takako had one. Did Inukai have a computer? I can't recall him if he ever worked in the computer or not. Maybe he doesn't. I feel like he did though. But it seems like there's only 2 computers on this table. Unless there's one like perfectly hidden behind Fumi right now. Because I do remember Takako worked on a computer. Like, I remember she made the program that was like, you put in some information about yourself and it told you what restaurant to go to, right? Or what food to eat tonight or whatever. So she did have a computer. Or like, even if that scene was hallucinated, she was sitting at a desk that had a computer, presumably. Or maybe Sachiko hallucinated the computer as well. Who knows? I guess it's not enough to say. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Was it also a 100-yen coin that made her hypnotized? I think it was, right? So that's the second time the 100-yen coin shows up, I guess. It's nothing. Really? Well, here you go then. The canned coffee she handed me was the one I usually bought from her vending machine. Thank you. As I took it off her hands, Fumi walked to her locker and pulled out her jacket. I placed my finger on the still warm cannon's pull tab and quickly changed my mind, choosing instead to put it away into my bag. My computer finished shutting down with a low whir. Okay, you can see. Okay, no, there is a computer here. Never mind. Okay, never mind. So I guess Sachiko is saying that Fumi sits here, Takako sits here, and Inukai sits here? Wait, no. Because in the scene where they got candy, Fumi and Takako were sitting next to each other, weren't they? I'm pretty sure they were, because they were like bickering with each other and like eating the same candy and shit. I feel like that would be hard if you were sitting opposite to each other. I feel like I would need to go back and see exactly how it was written, but I'm pretty sure it was written as if they were sitting next to each other. So in that scene, Takako was sitting here, but now she's sitting here. And I guess this desk with no computer is An's desk that has never shown up. I don't know, this is fucking weird, man. You already missed the last train. Want me to give you a lift? Fumi turned to me after closing her locker. No need. I'll ride a cab home. Shatsuko loves her taxis. She rides a taxi every single day. Just as I was about to stand up, a sudden onset of dizziness assaulted me. I leaned against my desk with both hands. Is something wrong? I'm just a little anemic. Fumi considered me for a few moments with her hand on her locker's door before closing it. I'm kind of worried, so I'd rather drive you myself. I'll go get the car from the parking lot, so come down in 2 or 3 minutes if you can. She then left the office before I could say anything. Sitting back in my chair, I pressed my palm against my temples. I felt somewhat better afterwards. I then opened my bag and took out the canned coffee from earlier. Yeah, the coffee's gonna make your headache better. After locking the office door, I tossed the empty can into the trash bin next to our old vending machine. I left the building about 3 minutes after Fumi. After spotting a smallish car in front of the entrance, I climbed inside and sat down in the front seat. Welcome. What? Is this the oldest? Is this a fucking car from the 1960s? What the fuck is this speedometer? This looks crazy. I closed the door. Thanks. No problem. Fumi's car was a hatchback type that didn't separate the interior from the trunk, making it more spacious on the inside than one would think from a rear glance. That didn't seem that way from this background, but sure. Fumi leaned forward in her seat and began adjusting the position of the back mirror, sticking her lips out in a funny way. Where did your glasses go? Don't worry, those were fake anyway. What? Really? What the fuck? I fastened my seatbelt with a sharp click. As the car in the back mirror passed, Fumi placed her right elbow on the doorknob to her side and stepped on the gas. Excuse me? We're just gonna drop that? She just wears fake glasses? Okay. Fake glasses? Question mark? You didn't need glasses? I'm wearing contacts, so it's okay. So you wear fake glasses over your contacts? Yeah. I wear fake glasses over my contacts. I had no idea. I chuckled. My sister gave me the frame as a birthday present, but it didn't have lenses. I mean, those things are really expensive, right? Not really, but you don't need to wear them just because of that. I'm pretty sure buying new contacts, like regularly, would be more expensive than in the long run. Fumi tapped the storage compartment in front of me. Makeup's less of a hassle this way. What do you... You're still wearing glasses. What can you drop me off, Fumi? I'm not comfortable right now. just drop me off. I'll walk the rest of the way. You're being weird right now. I see. I saw you wearing glasses when you read books. Are you farsighted or something? My eyes are fine. I wear the glasses so they don't get worse, actually. It seemed like people wore glasses for all sorts of reasons. Fumi pressed a small lever to the left of the wheel. The wipers going up and down on the front window increased in speed. Also, it's hard to tell from this background, but is this not also a Western style car with the handle on the left? It's hard to tell, but like it seems like the speedometer is closer to the left than to the right? So it seems like the wheel is also on the left here, just like it was when Takako was driving. It's raining pretty hard today. The forecast said it'll clear up by tomorrow, but I'm wondering if it really will. The rain had been growing gradually stronger since we left the office. The water running down the windshield looked almost like a waterfall with a new stream blocking our sight, no matter how hard the wipers struggled. Uh-oh. A ray of light suddenly pierced the sky. Was that lightning? The sound of thunder reached us around the same time Fumi said that. Seems so. I suppose the rain won't be stopping anytime soon. As I narrowed my eyes and peered into the darkening sky stretching above the few city lights that still endured, its canvas looked almost like a large, wriggling snake. You look tired. For a moment, I almost thought I was back in Narasaki's clinic, but it was just Fumi addressing me as I absentmindedly gazed at the drifting clouds. Do not fall asleep in Fumi's car. You will definitely wake up tied up in the basement. In my mind's eye, I imagined the two standing next to each other, and chuckled at the thought of how different they were. Did I say something funny? I heard someone else say the same thing, that's all. Smiling, Fumi responded with, well, it's the end of the year. She seemed to have cheered up after hearing me chuckle, but we still couldn't find a common topic to discuss. The raindrops trickling down the windshield, following the exact same route each time, would all be swept away by the wiper. I imagine we won't have to stay this late again anytime soon, at least as far as this year is concerned. Thank God for that. Yeah. You definitely pushed yourself too hard this year. What makes you say that? I saw you spacing out and talking to yourself a lot lately. I was getting a bit worried, to be honest. I was talking to myself? Hey, by the way, Fumi, do you know who Takako is? Fumi nodded. Well, you rarely actually spoke, but you seemed deep in thought all the time. I tensed up, worried that she might have noticed my condition. But Fumi added, I think you were talking about work or something. It happens to everyone. That's a bit shocking. I thought I was being careful not to let my exhaustion show. Fumi smiled, her eyes still fixed on the road. You're usually pretty difficult to read, so to actually make it easier for me if you were more open. I don't even remember the last time you took a vacation. It made me wonder if you actually take any time to rest. If you do that, Unikai will have less work than me. Just saying, she added. Well, I took a very long vacation a while back. Fumi paused for a second, then went on with a, well, that was quite a while back, wasn't it? Please, talk to each other, talk to each other, talk to each other. I wonder if I took too many days off. I tried to guide a conversation towards the subject I was most curious about. Fumi shook her head in response. I think you needed them back then. Really? I pressed further, noticing Fumi was hesitating. It was around the time Miss Takako passed away. Oh. Okay, so we did, in the end, we did ask Fumi, but we didn't even ask her. She just said it herself. Because Sachiko, I guess, never thought to ask. Fumi's voice lowered to a whisper. When Takako passed away, you don't normally show emotions, but back then, everyone could tell you were trying to suppress more than what was healthy. We couldn't do anything. I was so worried. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you through that. I did everything I could not to show my bewilderment, as Fumi shook her head. But you returned to normal when you came back from that vacation. You even took care of all the accumulated paperwork at twice the pace. Was that Italy? I couldn't spend the rest of my life whomping around and crying. Looking out the window, I spotted... Okay, you're not, like, shocked by this revelation? I guess you kind of knew deep down? Looking out the window, I spotted the closest convenience store to my house. I felt as though a snake had been wriggling inside my head. I thought it was most likely my blood flow, but I was feeling so sick, I decided not to think too deeply about anything. Thanks for the lift. No problem. See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. I opened the car's door and rushed to the entrance of my apartment complex in the heavy downpour. I heard the sound of a car engine roaring to life behind me. Glancing backwards, I saw Fumi waving me goodbye as she stepped on the gas. Once her car disappeared into the darkness, I boarded the elevator. I brushed my palm against my head. It hurt like hell. As I reached my floor, I took the key holder out of my pouch as I walked down the corridor, then opened my door. I stepped inside and locked the door behind me. Upon entering the bedroom, I threw myself onto the bed, not caring about my still wet clothes. I wasn't planning to get up anymore. I haphazardly pulled the sheet over myself and closed my eyes. Then I repeated the words one more time in my head. Takako's dead. I could hear the sound of the clock somewhere deep within the darkness. Man, we're just fucking speeding through these chapters today. Okay, so did she die in Italy? Or did she die before Italy? Or... Oh, new music. What the fuck is this text? Is this Takako? I opened my eyes after experiencing a pleasant feeling of lightness, almost like I was floating in the wind. Within the deep darkness hovered a tiny flame, illuminating the cold, rock-laden ground below it. Rock-laden ground. There was someone sitting in front of me on the opposite side of the flame. I know you. We've met before. That's right. We met at the square. You were with your lover then. Okay, this is, Fujisaka? They were garbed in a robe with a long hood, preventing me from making out their face. Were you in my dream? I don't know. It was as though my question had been swallowed by the darkness. Your mind seems to be in quite the state of chaos. Perhaps. Perhaps you are more confused than even you realize. Well, whatever you say. In any case, there was something I forgot to ask you last time. What's that? Last time? What do you mean last time? Why didn't you renounce your theory? Most likely because I thought preserving it held more value than the remainder of my life. What? Why? Life versus theory. Yes. What we recognize as life is but an accumulation of electrical signals. Our consciousness is merely the result of oscillating electrons. Once you die and that function fails, even that disappears. But the thoughts and ideas you put out there into the world, they remain. It might be no more than a tiny part of me, but a certain sequence of my individual oscillations resonates with and gets copied to other people. It is, of course, hardly anything special. Everyone's doing it. That's just the kind of animal we, as a species, are. For instance, singing songs of love, gazing at pictures of your homeland, reading letters, the feeling of the creators are conveyed and thus find new life within the heart of the beholder. It's quite simple. I suppose that makes sense. Every word in a language comes from some individual sequence of oscillations, the original master of which has long been since lost to time. A single word everyone uses now makes the feeling of those ancients reappear in the world. I felt that's a tad more significant than a few years of living. What? Like a bubble from the shrouded depths of the sea. Right. The bubbles melt together, change their shapes, and form feelings even more complicated than the original. I imagine it as a sketch of a Persian rug that gets more and more complicated. That sounds like it. The people currently alive are the threads connecting the oscillation sequences into one giant rug of near infinite complexity. So all people, dead or alive, are part of that rug, are they not? Takako too? Yeah. What about you? I think so. You're a strange one. I could say the same about you. I wish you could have met one while you were still alive, not in some dream. Give me a second. Is the theory that Takako isn't dead, or is Takako still alive somehow? Is that the theory that Sachiko is holding on to? I assume the person that is having the dream is Sachiko. Cause oh, sorry, my phone. Because they refer to Takako in third person here. And they mentioned meeting them in the square. But I don't... I wish we could have met while you were still alive, not in some dream. So are we saying that I keep forgetting her name. Are we saying that Fujisaka is dead? The woman we met in Italy? I assume that's who she's talking to right now, because they said they met at the square with her lover. Let's keep reading. Indeed, this is a dream completely isolated from reality. You've come up with everything here on your own. Perhaps I have, but I'm extremely interested in what you're trying to achieve now. What are you talking about? The person fell silent. The gradually waning flame around us no longer reached her face. It seems like time's up. I slowly opened my heavy eyelids, waking up to a grating noise. Lub-dub, it sounded like something hitting a large drum. It was pitch dark around me, I couldn't see anything. I finally made out the vague, cobalt-tinted light of my alarm clock, with the one eye that wasn't blocked by my pillow, and saw the number on its display. Lub-dub. Wubba-lubba-dub-dub. The sound seemed to be coming from my chest. It was the beating of my heart. The blood vessels in close proximity to my ears were sending blood up into my head, contracting like a throat gulping down water. I squeezed my sheet and firmly closed my eyes. I must have been woken up by a bad dream or something. As I continued to listen, the sound grew more and more unbearable. I heard someone clutch the sheets. As I opened my eyes, I saw Takako's back. I reached out, but my eardrums almost exploded as my arm brushed against the sheet. Still enjoying that terrifying sound, I finally managed to reach her back with my palm. Is something wrong? As I was unable to force out a single word, Takako, with my hand still against her back, spoke of herself. Is it another one of those? Did you have a bad dream? I gently pulled on her pajamas. Takako slowly turned around to face me. After wrapping her arms around my tense shoulders, she held me tight to her chest. The sound, which at this point was beginning to sound like a battering ram against my eardrums, grew in intensity. The rustling of clothes, the compressor, each and every little sound in the vicinity assailed my ears like the boom of thunder. Lub-dub, lub-dub. The sound of running blood was a rumble trying to tear my nerves to shreds. Tako's hands touched my hair. She began stroking it. Her hands moved slowly like a cloud in the sky, or a shadow upon the face of a sundial. All the terrible sounds now melted into one agonizing cacophony, were returning to normal one by one with each of her strokes. The fridge in the kitchen, the digital clock next to my pillow, the wind howling against the window, they became more and more distant. I'll be up until you fall asleep, so relax. Her whisper still sounded like an ear-piercing scream, but it no longer made me break out in a cold sweat. Feeling something warm against my eyelids, I opened my eyes. The bright light of morning finally switched over, grabbing my curtains. I traced a hand along my shoulder, finding the spot Takako was touching just moments before. I could feel warmth, the unmistakable trace of someone's touch. Okay, that's interesting. Looking at the bed after I had climbed out of it, I noticed some wrinkles in the sheets, almost as if someone had really been lying next to me. I mean, it's hard to say if you're just hallucinating this or if, like, it really happened. I placed my hand on the wrinkled spot, finding it still warm. The door to my bedroom was left partially opened. Okay, call the police. Crow sounded a shriek, letting the slumbering city know that morning had come. I heard them sound normally. Okay, so is Takako like some... has Takako become like some fourth dimensional entity? Like, what's going on? Raising my now functioning head, I left the room. New music? I told Narasaki what Fumi had told me, including the intense ringing in my ears that followed. Narasaki listened to me, nodding her head. It seemed almost like she wasn't surprised at all. Narasaki left her pen on the desk and placed her hand on her chin. Can I bring you something to drink? Go ahead. Sorry about interrupting. She moved further into the room and came back holding 2 cups. Okay, don't drink it. I used this to keep myself awake, so it might be a tad too strong. There is definitely something in that drink. Narasaki placed one of the cups next to me. Thank you. I was about to take a sip, but the coffee was so hot it burned my lips. I used a silver spoon that Narasaki handed me to stir the cup a little. There's a lot of drinking coffee in this story, isn't there? A lot of coffee drinking. How is it? After cooling down the coffee to a tolerable temperature, I took a very small sip, just to wet my lips, but still ended up wincing at the taste. It's bitter. I've heard that hard roasted coffee beans were supposed to not carbonize and retain their sweetness. And I've heard that light roasting actually makes it retain more caffeine, so it's more effective at waking you up. I'm not sure how it works with caffeine, to be honest, but the taste of this one is enough to drive sleep away from me. It's more of a mood thing. I took another sip, then left the cup on the desk. I understand what you mean. Narasaki cleared her throat, drank up the last remnants of the coffee from her cup in a single gulp, and left it at her desk. I could see black dregs trembling at the bottom of her cup. So, managed to calm down a little? Yes. You don't feel sick or anything? I had a headache when I heard what Fumi had to say, but it's already passed. That terrible pain was gone by morning. You know, I wonder, because if you remember, we had like that really short image of a funeral that showed up for a few seconds. Or I assumed it was a funeral. We didn't really see, but from the way people were dressed, I assumed it was a funeral. And we saw that scene after the whole island section where like Sachiko and Takako were at the like abandoned island and were like hanging out together and they kissed. Right after that we had the funeral. So I wonder if every scene that took place after that was like Takako was already dead by that point. Even though I don't see how that could make any sense, because I went back and looked at the scene and it seems like Takako definitely was there, but whatever. The terrible pain was gone by morning. Good. My head doesn't hurt, but I no longer understand what's going on with me. Narasaki drummed her fingers against the desk. I urged her to answer faster. For one, we can tell that Takako has passed away. That's definitely true. I furrowed my brows. Do you have proof? You've only forgotten about it. I've forgotten that too? Besides, I know how and when it happened. I see, in that case, can I remember it through hypnosis? Most likely. Narasaki prepared the sofa we used last time and made me lie down. We don't need to go as deep into sleep as last time. Just relax and listen to my words. Yeah, more hypnosis. She told me to close my eyes and relax, like the last time. Then she began talking in a slow voice. Trying to recall that rainy day. We hadn't met in a while. We? I suddenly could hear the sound of rain. There was a line of people dressed in black. I could smell the faint hit of incense through the rain. Okay, this is a funeral. Yeah, this is the exact image we saw. Yeah. Okay, this doesn't tell us how Takako died, though. Why does she look so smug? It's been a while. I'm Narasaki, do you remember me? She handed me her business card. If you need help, you can always come to me. Okay. That's making me think that Narasaki isn't even someone that Sachiko knew. That's making me think that Narasaki just like slid in to like talk to Sachiko, but she never even knew them when they were in high school or whatever. She just made that part up. Right, now I remember. We hadn't spoken in a decade at that point. It seemed like you had already forgotten all about it when we chatted at that cafe though. I was a little surprised when you just took my business card. I'm sorry about that. Don't be. Yeah, I figured it was probably related to the reason why you'd want my help anyway. Okay, maybe not. I could have told you everything, but I didn't want to force things when I still didn't have all the answers. Apparently, Narasaki was planning to tell me about Takako's death after pinpointing the cause of my condition. I see. You've probably already realized this much, but I imagine you forced yourself to forget about Takako in an attempt to cope with her loss. I was worried that making you remember would only upset your mental state, causing your hallucinations and earring to grow worse. But your guess was off then? Understanding what Narasaki said, I took another look at myself. I wasn't exactly in pain, nor did I feel anything that could be described as severe anxiety, fear, or even stress. I'm glad I was wrong. Otherwise, we might have been in a pretty tough situation with you learning the truth before I could explain anything. I was pretty confused when I learned about it, though. I think your headache was just an after effect of your memories returning. I heard the meow of the cat walking on the fence beyond the small window. Well, I'm glad I managed to straighten out some of my memories without any obvious repercussions. This raises a couple of new questions, just like that trip I saw during your hypnosis. You said that you thought I couldn't handle the shock of Takako's death and forgot all about it, is that correct? Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind, but it looks like I was wrong. That's like he nodded. Can you tell me when Takako died exactly, please? Let's fix these one by one. Natsuki picked up my medical record and opened up to the page with the diagram. First, you misremembered the dates of your trip and Takako's disappearance. This was done so you could treat your hallucinations as real things. On this account, I thought we were mistaken. Okay. This seems very speculative. So can we not consider this memory discrepancy problem solved? Yeah. Hang on, I'm not following. Okay, so we're saying that the memory loss caused the hallucinations because to make her think that the hallucinations were real and that Takako was real alive, she couldn't know that Takako was dead. She could only think that Takako disappeared. So to make that happen, her brain decided to forget the trip in Italy so that she could think and forget about Takako's death, so that she could think that Takako disappeared in Italy, so that she could hallucinate her in the office and have banter with her? Is that what we're saying? Next, I thought that your hallucinations were the result of a deep psychological shock caused by Takako's death. That was probably off the mark. So what we're left with is the fact that Takako is nowhere to be found, plus her symptoms. Well, she's dead, isn't she? Narasaki added that to the diagram. I'll give it another careful look. Wait, how do you know my hallucinations haven't also been cured? Didn't we just eliminate their cause? Narasaki paused for a few seconds. Your memory loss was just something to convince yourself that the hallucinations you've been seeing in the office are real. How could you possibly know that? Maybe she just hit her head, she just hit her head really hard at some point. Like, this is... And in regards to Takako, I guess you did do a blood test. You did do a blood test, so... And in regards to Takako, whether she disappeared or passed away, it doesn't change the fact that she's not with you. It's possible you might no longer see hallucinations in the office, but as long as you're alone, your situation hasn't changed much from before. Well, it's entirely possible your symptoms might have gotten lighter, not that you remember the important things, but this diagram doesn't show the cause of your hallucinations to begin with. I can't exactly declare you cured just yet. Everything has a meaning and a reason, huh? Exactly. Looking at the diagram, though, it didn't seem like we had much left to go on. It felt like all the possible causes had been ruled out either by the examination or the treatment I received. Can you please tell me when Takako died and how? In any case, it's supposed to be a good idea for me to keep coming here. Narasaki considered me for a few seconds before voicing her agreement. It seemed like she was busy thinking about something else. Is something bothering you? Yeah, but for now I have to keep observing you. As I've said before, there's a possibility that your symptoms might have grown lighter with this. Would be nice if that was the case. I looked at my watch while Narasaki placed her pen and medical record on the desk before shifting her attention to the calendar on the wall. On it, a red line crossed out all the days from the end of this week to the end of the next. You have a vacation coming up, right? Yes, that's right. Yesterday you worked late into the night, correct? I'm worried about your symptoms, but I'm just as concerned about your physical health. I highly recommend spending your vacation somewhere calm and relaxing. Do you have anything planned? Not really. Any place you recommend? Narasaki lightly scratched her cheek. I tend to spend most of my days off at home, so how about a hot spring? A hot spring? A coworker of mine actually invited me on a trip to one just the other day. I suppose my hometown is more famous for hot springs than anything around here. But if I went back there now, I'd be opening a whole new can of worms. I'm not saying it's necessary or anything, perhaps it would be better for you to be with someone who knows you well. And if it's a calm place where you can relax, all the better. What about spending my vacation at home? There were some movies I wanted to watch. Maybe I should drop by the rental store on my way back. Narasaki slowly shook her head as I was trying to look around the room while I browsed through various movie titles in my mind. That sounds like a good way to relax, but I still recommend going outside. Okay, you're not telling me how to fucking spend my vacation, shrink. Would that be more effective? Yeah, do you remember the condition for making your memories surface through hypnotic treatment? Yeah, I think it was information directly connected to said memories, like concrete sites, situations, and dates. That's right. You could say that in your head, your memories are tagged or indexed in a particular way. I'm pretty sure you've experienced a certain kind of elation and a rush of memories when you were looking at a nostalgic site. Okay. And your room is packed with memories of Takako. Your environment is full of things that will remind you of her. Things that will remind me of her. I repeated her words. If possible, I recommend picking somewhere you haven't been to before. Places with strong ties to Takako, like your office or your home, will definitely make you remember her. I think it would help for you to relax and reorganize your thoughts in a completely fresh environment. You may be right. If you do find someplace nice, be sure to tell me about it. Alright. I went back home and finished the laundry. She loves doing laundry. It's her favorite thing. Then I scrubbed the bathroom and the wash basin until the sun set. After that, I cleaned the oil stains from the stove and the mold that had accumulated around the faucet. I also polished the sink until I could see my face reflected in it. Finally, I thought about how to spend a vacation. I couldn't think of a single acquaintance I wanted to spend time with in this condition. I watched the tap water hit the bottom of the freshly polished sink. With nothing else to do, I sort of spaced out for a while. I observed the translucent flow of water from the tap as it burst apart upon hitting the surface of the silver sink. The water kept swirling around as it traveled down the drainage. Having grown tired of watching that, I turned off the tap. Now that I think about it, I was asking earlier that I wanted to know how Takako died. She definitely drowned, right? I think that would make sense. Because there's been, like, obviously, like, a billion references to water and the sea and all that, and the name of the game is SeaBed. And on the title screen, you can see both of them underwater. And also, there was a mention really early on of Sachiko going to Takako's belonging, and she mentioned that her business card was wet, right? I don't know if she would have the clothes that she died in. Maybe that's wrong, but I feel like if Takako is going to die of anything, she definitely drowned. Having grown tired of watching that, I turned off the tap. After observing the last drops of water disappear from the sink, I removed my apron and hung it on the rack. I continued to the bathroom. Oh. Now it's your turn to drown. After undressing, I began to opening the door leading inside, the steam from the bathtub escaping through the slit. Once I confirmed that the temperature was just right, I climbed inside the tub, submerging myself in the water. Submerging? I could feel my body warming up, along with a pleasantly light tingling of heat against my skin. We should use this chance to go somewhere far. I heard Takako speak. Oh my god. I opened my eyes to see her playing with a toy duck. Damn, I needed the Steam patch for this CG, I think. Unlucky. Somewhere far. That sounds nice, but I was told not to tire myself out too much. She's alone. stop here. Little cliffhanger. Wonder who's at the phone. So I guess we're really saying that all the scenes that we saw in the office with Takako and Inukai and Fumi were all hallucinated, and none of them really happened at all. Because it's not like Sachiko only hallucinated Takako talking, and the rest of the scene was how it actually happened. That can't be how it was, because Fumi and Inukai were both talking to Takako, so she had to have been hallucinating the entire scene. So I guess all of that was just in her head. I guess, sure. I mean, I'm saying in her head. I'm still holding on to the possibility that like there is some like parallel world time travel shit going on. Maybe she's like seeing fragments from a different parallel universe or something. I don't know. The whole thing with like her bed still being warm and like seeing the crinkles like someone was laying next to her definitely like leads credence to that it's not all just in her head. I would be very surprised if all of this was actually just in her head, because that seems like it would be a pretty one note for the story if it was just that. So there's definitely gonna be like some part of it was like kind of true. However, in whatever way they want to show that, and obviously like the tip that we saw at the very beginning with Narasaki. I kind of want to reread this tip actually, because it was I think it was very like important, but we got it like at the very beginning, and I didn't really understand what was going on back then. But I bet if I reread this now, I would like glean a lot more from this than I did. So maybe I'm gonna like read this the next episode, like reread it. I don't think it was that long. Yeah. Oh wait, did I click on it? I didn't mean to click on it. I meant to go back. I mean, fuck it. Let's read it right now. Fuck it. Pale light filled the early morning corridor. It's still humid air tickling my nose. I shook my still somewhat drowsy head and continued with my daily routine, inspecting the room equipment. Okay, so presumably this is Narasaki. Today was room 008's turn. Room 008. Not breaking my stride, I pulled out... So there's multiple rooms that are like this? Not breaking my stride, I pulled out a bunch of keys from my pocket and began looking for one of my... Okay, yeah. 50 keys. The room on the other side that sucked much of the fresh air inside, almost like I was breathing. I quickly entered and went on with my business, making sure that all the furniture and equipment in this musty, murky, dust-riddled rooms were still in the right place. So, the picture earlier made it look like we were like in a hospital or something, right? Or like in some sort of clinic. But we opened this room and it's just like a residential room with like this doesn't look like a hospital room, right? The table and the sofa, yeah, there's like a sofa, like there's no way. The table and the sofa were covered with white sheets, making them look like ghosts. A cardboard box rested next to the sofa. It had been over 10 years since this place turned into a storage room. Years since it was turned into a storage room. It had actually been half a year since I last came here. After glancing over the furniture, I moved on to the shelves by the wall. One of the shelves was full of dishware, while the other boasted a whole collection of thick hardcover books. On the dishware shelf, there were a bunch of white plates stacked up upon each other, alongside a few cups and saucers further down. I spotted a case wrapped in a piece of cloth with checkered design. In it, there were forks, spoons, and knives. My gaze halted on one particular dish on the back of the shelf that stood out from the rest. The previous owner of the room made it in elementary school, back when she was a member of a pottery club. God, this is like a skill check. Do I remember either of them being in the pottery club? I don't remember if that has been mentioned. I don't think it has, but I'm not sure. It was about palm size and shaped like a tulip, colored in reddish brown like rusted iron. She received some help from the club supervisor, a professional powder, but aside from the color, she was relatively satisfied with how it turned out. I considered the dishes one more time, feeling as though I had missed something. She made 3 dishes in total over the time she spent at the pottery club during her 6th year of elementary school. One she presented to her grandfather, but the other 2 she kept on the shelf. However, the green dish that was supposed to be next to the reddish brown one wasn't there. Okay, the fact that she gave it to her grandfather makes me think it was Sachiko. Because Sachiko was close to her grandparents, right? She said. And Takako has never even mentioned her grandparents. I'm pretty sure she only lives with her parents because they just moved here. So that makes me think this is Sachiko. And obviously, like, the question is, if she gave it to her grandparents, why is it in this room right now? I opened my notebook. It had everything about this room marked down in detail. I turned the page to find that there was indeed supposed to be, like, there was everything about this room marked down in detail? I turned the page to find that there was indeed supposed to be a green cup here. There were no notes of it being removed. It seemed as though it had simply disappeared by itself. I crossed it out and wrote down today's date slightly above it. Since I found one article missing, I decided to check every single item inside. It was nowhere near as easy as it initially sounded. After I finished, I found out that 2 books were also missing from the shelf. 2 books. Sachiko took out 3 books from the library. 2 books. I crossed them out too and wrote today's date above them. Like she's keeping tracks of what items are disappearing. Keeping track of when is disappearing. With that done, I left the murky room and locked the door behind me. I glanced at the clock to realize the whole ordeal took me over an hour. Returning the keys to the night duty room, I continued with my other duties. Okay, and that whole scene takes place in Narasaki Clinic, which is like where Narasaki works, and I'm guessing where Sachiko went to, where Sachiko is going to like get hypnotized and shit. I'm surprised it would have that many rooms, though. It seemed like a big building. Maybe this is like later, because it did say like, oh, it's been 10 years since this room was used as a storage room. So maybe this is like in the future when Narasaki has a bigger clinic. I don't know. Definitely very, very mysterious. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop here for now, for real now. I'm definitely into this. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Oh man. You know, now that I think about it, if Takako was, like, if that whole scene was hallucinated, it makes sense in the scene where Sachiko gave them presents. It made sense that she gave Fumi and Takako the same present, because she just gave Fumi a present, and she just imagined it as giving it to Fumi and Takako. Yeah. Man, the whole thing with An is still fucking throwing me off. Who is An? Why is she never at the office? Okay, I need to stop here. I'm gonna rack my brain about this a bit before next time, but yeah, I'm definitely into the mystery right now. Definitely curious to see how this is all gonna resolve. But yeah, see you next time.